The champagne tower at the birthday shimmered under the lights. I stood beside my husband, Thomas, in a custom gown, my smile perfectly composed. Today marked my 26th birthday and our 3rd wedding anniversary. Olivia, you look stunning tonight, Thomas whispered in my ear. I turned to look at him, a wave of warmth spreading through my heart. 3 years. I thought our relationship was as solid as a rock. Happy, Mr. Thomas, Ms. Olivia. Guests came forward one after another to offer their congratulations. I linked my arm through Thomas's, feeling the warmth of his hand. In that moment, I felt like the happiest woman in the world. Until appeared. She wore a flowing white gown, like an angel who had mistakenly descended to earth. Happy, Olivia. Chloe walked toward me, a gentle, familiar smile on her face. She was my best friend. Chloe, you're here. I released Thomas's hand and stepped forward to embrace her. Thomas's gaze, however, remained fixed on Chloe. I noticed it, but chose to ignore it. It was normal for a best friend to be beautiful, and normal for a man to take a second look. I told myself. Halfway through the cocktail party, Thomas suddenly stood up. Ladies and gentlemen, besides celebrating Olivia's birthday today, I have an important announcement to make. His voice, amplified by the microphone, echoed throughout the venue. I looked at him, puzzled. What important announcement? He hadn't mentioned anything to me before. I'd like to introduce someone to all of you. Thomas extended his hand, and to my surprise, Chloe walked towards him. My heart skipped a beat. This is Chloe, my fiancée. The entire venue fell silent instantly. I felt my blood run cold. Fiancé? Weren't we already married? Thomas, what kind of joke is this? I forced a smile and walked towards the stage. Thomas looked at me, without a trace of guilt in his eyes. Olivia, let's get a divorce. His words struck me like a thunderbolt. The guests below the stage began to whisper amongst themselves. My face instantly lost all color. What did you say? The one I love is Chloe, and it always has been. Marrying you was merely a necessity for a family alliance. Every word Thomas uttered cut like a knife. I looked at Chloe, who had her head down, avoiding my gaze. Chloe, tell me this isn't true. My voice was trembling. Chloe finally looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. I'm sorry, Olivia. We truly are in love. I took a step back. My most trusted husband, my closest best friend. They had conspired to deliver a devastating blow. Olivia, you should wish us well, Thomas said coldly. I looked at the faces in the audience, watching for drama, feeling their gazes, some pitying, some mocking. This was my birthday, yet it had become their engagement party. I clenched my hands into fists, my nails digging into my palms. The pain kept me grounded. Fine. I sneered, I wish you both well. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard applause and congratulatory shouts. No one followed me out. Not even one. I drove away from the hotel, tears blurring my vision. At a traffic light, I pulled over and sobbed with my head on the steering wheel. 3 years of marriage, all just an elaborate deception. And I, like a clown, had performed on stage until the very last moment. Just then, my phone rang. It was a text message from Chloe. Olivia, I'm sorry. We really are in love. You'll understand, won't you? I deleted the text message and turned off my phone. Understand? Why should I understand? Back home, the vast mansion felt empty. This was Thomas's wedding gift to me, our love nest. Now, it seemed, it was merely a prop to appease me. I slipped off my heels, walking barefoot on the cold marble floor. I thought back to our wedding 3 years ago. Back then, Thomas was gentle and thoughtful, doting on me completely. It had all been an act. And I, foolishly, had believed it to be true. Our wedding photo sat in the entryway. In the photo, I.W. as smiling so radiantly, like an idiot. I picked up the photo frame and smashed it to the ground. Glass shards scattered everywhere, and the photo was torn. Just like my heart. Shattered into pieces. I walked into the bedroom and saw my wedding ring on the nightstand. Thomas himself had placed it on my finger. Olivia, I'll love you forever. That was his promise back then. I took off the ring and tossed it into the trash can. Thomas's clothes were still hanging in the walk-in closet. I ripped them down one by one, throwing them onto the floor. My phone rang again. This time, it was Thomas. I answered the call. You're home? His voice was still as captivating. Yes, back to our love nest. I sneered. Olivia, don't be unreasonable. Let's part ways amicably, without making a scene. Unreasonable? I discover my husband's infidelity, and I don't even have the right to be angry? Thomas, when did our marriage start to sour? There was a few seconds of silence on the other end. Perhaps there was no sincerity from the very beginning. His words pierced my chest like a sharp sword. Then how did you perfect your disguise so flawlessly for 3 years? Olivia, you should know, businessmen are masters of performance. I laughed, tears streaming down my face. I was just too foolish. Tomorrow I'll have my lawyer contact you, and we'll finalize the divorce proceedings as soon as possible. What about the division of assets? I asked. I'll give you reasonable compensation, he said slowly. No need. Olivia, won't stoop to living off my ex-husband's handouts. I hung up the phone. Outside, it started to rain. Raindrops tapped against the floor-to-ceiling windows, just as they tapped against my heart. I sat on the sofa, hugging my knees, like a wounded child. Why? We grew up together, she knew all my secrets. I considered her one of the most important people in my life. And she had betrayed me. And in this manner. At my birthday, in front of everyone. She wanted me to completely lose my dignity. I woke up the next day to find myself asleep on the sofa. My neck was aching, and my head throbbed. My phone showed over a dozen missed calls, all from acquaintances. It seemed word of last night's events had already spread. I didn't call anyone back, I simply turned off my phone. The last thing I wanted now was to face anyone's pity or malicious glee. After washing up, I changed into a black suit. Today, I had to go to the company to handle some matters. The group was my father's life's work, and my sanctuary. On the way, many thoughts raced through my mind. Last night's humiliation had fully brought me to my senses. I could no longer be the naive Olivia. Since wanted a divorce, I would grant him his wish. But I wouldn't let them off easy. At the company, the employees looked at me strangely. Clearly, they had also heard about last night's events. I walked expressionlessly towards the CEO's office. My assistant, Lynn, knocked and entered. Ms. Olivia, a lawyer is here to see you. Send him in. A middle-aged man entered, dressed in a crisp suit. Ms. Olivia, I am Mr. Robert, Mr. Thomas's attorney. Get to the point. What are his terms? I leaned back in my chair, appearing calm. Mr. Thomas wishes to part amicably, and he is willing to offer you $50 million in compensation. $50 million? Thomas was certainly generous. However, there's one condition, Mr. Robert continued. What condition? You must not disclose the actual duration of their relationship to the public, nor take any retaliatory actions. I sneered. And if I don't agree? Then we'll have to proceed with legal action. However, I believe Ms. Olivia is a smart woman. Mr. Roberts' implied threat was obvious. Thomas wanted to silence me, to make me disappear quietly. I need to consider it. We hope for your swift reply. After Robert left, I called Dad. Dad, have you heard? I have. Olivia, are you all right? Dad's voice was full of concern. I'm fine. Dad, I want to ask you something. Go ahead. Back then, was the cooperation agreement between the Evergreen and Hayes tied to my marriage? There was silence on the other end of the line. Yes, Dad finally admitted. So, if Thomas and I divorce, the Evergreen will suffer significant losses? There will be some impact, but it won't cripple us. Olivia, don't compromise yourself because of the company. I understand, Dad. I hung up the phone and fell into deep thought. So that's it. No wonder Thomas was in such a hurry to divorce. He wanted to sever ties with the Evergreen. Then I would thwart his plans. I picked up the contract on the desk and studied it carefully. Later that afternoon, I met up with a few friends. They were all socialites from elite circles. Olivia, are you all right? We all heard about what happened last night. Rachel asked with concern. I'm perfectly fine, couldn't be better, I replied with a smile. Thomas, that scoundrel, to do such a thing. Exactly. Announcing his engagement to another woman at your birthday, it's absolutely outrageous. My friends were filled with righteous indignation. But I heard that Chloe is also your best friend? Sophia asked curiously. Yes, we grew up together, I said lightly. My God, that's just vicious. Olivia, what are you going to do? What else can I do? Get a divorce, obviously. My calm demeanor surprised them. Aren't you sad? What good is sadness? Instead of wasting time being heartbroken, I'd rather think about how to make them pay the price. My words stunned everyone present. The old Olivia had been gentle and kind, never one to fight. The current me, it seemed, had changed. Olivia, what do you plan to do? Rachel asked worriedly. Nothing much. I just don't want to let them off easy. I stood up. I'm leaving now. You all can continue your chat. After leaving the cafe, I drove directly to a certain place. It was the most renowned private agency in the city. I wanted to find out exactly when Thomas and Chloe had started their affair. 3 years of marriage, and I wanted the truth. The detective agency was located in an office building in the city center. The setting was much more professional than I had imagined. I was greeted by a woman in her 40s, Director. Ms. Olivia, I understand your situation. What exactly would you like us to investigate? Director's tone was very professional. I want to know the actual timeline of their relationship, and concrete evidence. That's no problem. However, regarding the fees, money is not an issue. I just want results. I signed the contract without hesitation and paid the deposit. Roughly how long will it take? About a week. We'll provide you with a detailed report. Leaving the private agency, I felt a significant weight lifted from my shoulders. Some things needed to be brought to light. Back home, I found that Thomas had returned. He was packing his things. You're back for your belongings? I asked from the doorway. Yes, just grabbing some essentials. He said, without looking up. Thomas, I have a question for you. What is it? When did you two start? His movements faltered for a moment. Does it matter? It matters to me. Thomas turned to face me. Olivia, let the past be the past. I have a right to know. Do you really want to know? Yes. Thomas was silent for a moment. A year ago. A year ago? Back then, we had just celebrated our second wedding anniversary. I remembered, we had gone to the Maldives for a vacation. Thomas had been so good to me then, telling me he loved me every day. So, even then, he had already betrayed me. Why? Perhaps it was fate. Fate? A convenient excuse. What about me, then? Olivia, you're a good woman, you deserve better. I laughed. Thomas, do you know? That's the most hypocritical thing I've ever heard. If I deserve better, why did you deceive me? Why didn't you tell me the truth from the start? Thomas remained silent. Was it because the evergreen was still useful to you, right? His eyes flickered. You're overthinking it. Really? Then why the rush to divorce now? Is it because your cooperation is stable, and you no longer need me as a stepping stone? Thomas's face darkened. Olivia, you've changed. Yes, I have. Anyone would change after being betrayed by the one they loved most. I walked up to him. Thomas, do you think I'll meekly sign the divorce papers and disappear with your handouts? What do you want? I haven't decided yet. But you'd better pray I'm a generous person. With that, I turned and went upstairs. Behind me, I heard the sound of Thomas leaving. The moment the front door closed, he vanished completely from this home. I sat on the edge of the bed and took out my phone. Chloe had sent many messages. All of them were explanations and apologies. I didn't reply, I simply blocked her. Since she chose to betray, she would have to face the consequences. That night, I had a dream. I dreamed of when we first met. Thomas back then was radiant and handsome, and he fell in love with me at first sight. We met in college and had our first date at a coffee shop. He said I was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. I said he was my prince. What a beautiful beginning. Sadly, it was all fake. A week later, Director called me. Ms. Olivia, we've compiled the information you requested. I'll be right there. At the private agency, Director handed me a thick file folder. Inside, you'll find photos, recordings, and a timeline analysis. I opened the file folder, and the contents shocked me. The first photo was taken 2 years ago. Thomas and Chloe were holding hands in a coffee shop. At that time, we had only been married for a year. They lied, I murmured to myself. What? They said it started a year ago. In reality, it was 2 years ago. Director nodded. According to our investigation, their relationship likely began 6 months after your marriage. I continued to flip through the photos. They had been to many places. Movie theaters, restaurants, hotels. One of the photos was taken on our wedding anniversary. I remembered Thomas saying he had to work overtime that day and couldn't join me for dinner. In the photo, he and Chloe were toasting in an upscale restaurant. Celebrating successfully deceiving me? There are also recordings, Director reminded me. I put on the headphones. Inside were conversations between Thomas and Chloe. Thomas, aren't we being too cruel to Olivia? Chloe's voice. Chloe, we're truly in love. Olivia will understand eventually, Thomas replied. But she trusts us so much. Precisely because she trusts us, we've been able to keep this going until now. When the time is right, I'll come clean with her. When the cooperation between the Evergreen and Hayes is fully stable. I took off the headphones, my hands trembling. They had planned this so meticulously. Exploiting my trust to maintain a superficial harmony. Waiting until I was squeezed dry of all utility, then kicking me aside. Ms. Olivia, are you all right? Director asked with concern. I'm fine. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. Is this enough evidence? If you decide to go to court, it's more than enough. Good. Thank you. I gathered the file folder and prepared to leave. Ms. Olivia, there's something I don't know if I should say. Go ahead. According to our investigation, a significant portion of Mr. Thomas's assets has been transferred. If you plan to divorce, it would be best to act quickly. Asset transfer? Thomas was truly calculating every step. Where were they transferred to? Many were used to purchase properties and stocks under Ms. Chloe's name. My fists clenched. Not only did they betray me, but they also intended for me to leave with nothing. Leaving the private agency, I drove directly to a law. I was greeted by Ms. Eleanor, the city's most renowned divorce attorney. Ms. Olivia, I understand your situation. Based on the evidence you provided, we have a strong chance of winning. I don't just want a divorce, I want them to pay the price. What do you want? I want to reclaim everything that belongs to me, including the assets he transferred. Ms. Eleanor nodded. That's certainly possible. However, have you really thought this through? This lawsuit could get ugly. I'm not afraid. Then we'll begin preparations immediately. After signing the retainer agreement, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. Finally, I could fight back. Back home, I called Dad. Dad, I've made up my mind. What is it? I'm going to sue Thomas. Regardless of the impact on the evergreen, I intend to get justice. There was silence on the other end for a moment. All right, Dad supports you. Really? And family daughter cannot be bullied like this. Go ahead, I'll bear the consequences. Dad's support brought tears to my eyes. Thank you, Dad. My dear child, it's what you deserve. The next day, Ms. Eleanor sent the lawsuit to Thomas's lawyer. The news spread quickly. My phone kept ringing. All were various media reporters wanting to interview me. I rejected them all. Now was not the time to make an appearance. At noon, Thomas came to see me in person. Olivia, have you lost your mind? He angrily demanded as soon as he walked in. I'm perfectly lucid, I said calmly. What you're doing benefits no one. It benefits me. What do you want? Money? I can offer more. Thomas thought I was asking for an exorbitant price. It's not money I want. Then what do you want? I want the truth. I tossed the investigation report to him. Look at the mess you've made. Thomas flipped through the photos, his face growing increasingly grim. You hired someone to spy on us? You were so open and honest. What's there to fear from being followed? Olivia, you've gone too far. Too far? I stood up, meeting his eyes directly. Thomas, tell me, who's gone too far? Is it you who betrayed our marriage, or me who sought the truth? Is it you who transferred assets, or me who protected my rights? Is it you who deceived my feelings, or me who exposed the lies? Thomas was rendered speechless by my questions. Where did you get these photos? That's not important. What's important is that they're all real. What do you want to do? It's simple. Give me back what's mine. What's yours? All the assets you transferred during our marriage. Thomas's expression changed drastically. What nonsense are you talking? Chloe's name on the property deeds, am I talking nonsense? The stocks purchased under her name, am I talking nonsense? And that $2 million check, am I talking nonsense about that too? With each statement, Thomas's face grew paler. You've investigated very thoroughly. I'm just reclaiming what's mine. That money was earned by me. Income earned during marriage is considered marital assets. Surely, Mr. Thomas, you're aware of that legal common sense? Thomas stared at me, gritting his teeth. Olivia, you've changed so much I don't recognize you. The feeling is mutual. Let's negotiate a deal. What are your terms? I'll return the transferred assets to you, and you drop the lawsuit. I shook my head. It's too late. What do you mean? Thomas, do you think I care about that bit of money? Then what do you want? I want to see your reputations utterly destroyed. My words shocked Thomas. You're insane. Yes, I am. You two drove me insane. Olivia, what good will this do you? It'll make me feel good, and that's enough. Thomas looked at me as if I were a stranger. You weren't like this before. The old me was too kind, which is why you bullied me. The current me has learned to protect myself. You'll regret this. My only regret is not seeing your true colors sooner. If I had seen your true nature earlier, I wouldn't have wasted 3 years. Thomas's face turned ashen with rage. Fine, Olivia, you want to play games? Then we'll play until tea. I'll be waiting. Thomas stormed out, slamming the door. I sat on the sofa, feeling an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. The old me always compromised and feared conflict. Now I understood that sometimes, not fighting back was condoning it. Over the next few days, news of our situation spread throughout the city. Elite family drama, a love triangle, and a financial dispute. The media loved this kind of story. I continued to refuse all interviews, maintaining my silence. Chloe, however, was different. She gave interviews to several media outlets. In her interviews, she portrayed herself as an innocent victim. Thomas and I are truly in love, we haven't harmed anyone. Olivia is my best friend, and I hope she can understand us. Matters of the heart cannot be forced, and I believe she'll eventually wish us well. I watched Chloe's pitiful appearance on TV, unable to suppress a sneer. Her acting skills were truly improving. But that was fine, the more high-profile she became, the more likely she was to expose her weaknesses. Ms. Eleanor called me. Ms. Olivia, the opposing counsel wants an out-of-court settlement. What are the terms? Return all transferred assets, plus an additional $5 million in compensation. Unacceptable. Are you sure? That's quite a substantial sum. Ms. Eleanor, I told you, it's not money I want. Alright, I understand. I hung up the phone, feeling a bit exhausted. The struggle of this period had drained a lot of my energy, but for my dignity, it was worth it. That evening, Rachel came to see me. Olivia, are you alright? I'm fine. There's a huge stir outside, aren't you worried? Worried about what? Worried about it affecting your reputation. I smiled. Rachel, what's more important, reputation or dignity? Dignity, of course. Exactly. I'd rather bear the reputation of a shrew than be a silent punching bag. Rachel looked at me, a complex mix of emotions in her eyes. Olivia, you've really changed a lot. Huh. I? The old you was gentle and kind, but now you. What about the current me? The current you is quite aggressive, a bit intimidating. I was silent for a moment. Rachel, if one day, the person you trusted most betrayed you, what would you do? Rachel thought for a moment. I'd probably be very sad. Just sad? What else could I do? Fight back. Make them pay the price. But isn't that exhausting? Yes, it is. But it's better than feeling stifled. Rachel said nothing more. Perhaps she couldn't understand my choice. But I had no regrets. In life, everyone needs a bottom line. If that line is crossed, what's the point of living? Soon, the day of the court hearing arrived. In the courtroom, I wore a black suit, sitting at the plaintiff's table. Across from me were Thomas and his legal team. Chloe was also there, sitting in the public gallery. She looked very nervous, glancing at Thomas intermittently. Court is now in session. The judge struck the gavel. Ms. Eleanor stood up and began to present my demands. My party, Ms. Olivia, requests a divorce from the defendant, Mr. Thomas, and demands the return of marital assets transferred during the marriage. Furthermore, we have evidence proving the defendant engaged in infidelity during the marriage. Ms. Eleanor presented all the evidence. Photos, recordings, bank transfer records, property deeds. Every single piece pointed to one undeniable fact: Thomas had betrayed the marriage. Thomas's lawyer, Mr. Robert, stood up to refute. My party acknowledges the irreparable breakdown of the marriage and agrees to divorce. However, we do not acknowledge the accusations of asset transfer. Those properties and stocks were all personal investments made by the defendant. Furthermore, we have reason to suspect that the plaintiff hired a private investigator to follow the defendant, which constitutes an invasion of his privacy. A heated debate ensued in the courtroom. I sat quietly, watching the lawyers engage in verbal sparring. In that moment, I recalled our wedding 3 years ago. Thomas had vowed to love me forever. Yet now, he sat at the defendant's table, confronting me in court for the sake of a mistress. The human heart was truly too fickle. "The may now present her statement," the judge said. I stood up and walked to the witness stand. I just wished to say a few words. 3 years ago, I thought I had found the one person in my life. I loved him wholeheartedly, trusted him, and gave him the best years of my life. But he betrayed me, betrayed our marriage. I am not a greedy woman. It's not his money I want. What I want is justice, a reckoning. I want to tell all women that in the face of betrayal, we cannot remain silent. We must bravely stand up and protect our rights. My words echoed through the courtroom. Someone in the public gallery was wiping away tears. The judge nodded, gesturing for me to sit down. The may now present his statement. Thomas stood up. He looked exhausted. I admit our marriage has failed. I also admit that I fell in love with someone else during our marriage. But I never intended to hurt Olivia. I am willing to offer her compensation, and I hope we can have a dignified separation. Dignified? At this point, he was still thinking about dignity. Ms. Eleanor continued to present evidence. This is evidence of the defendant's transferred assets. 3 properties, valued at $20 million. Stock investments, valued at $5 million. And multiple large transfers, totaling $8 million. All of these occurred during the defendant's infidelity, clearly an attempt to transfer marital assets. Mr. Robert attempted to refute. These investments were all normal business activities. But all under Chloe's name? Ms. Eleanor countered. It's just a coincidence. What kind of coincidence? The falls in love with someone else, and then transfers all his assets to that person's name? Is that what you call a coincidence? Mr. Robe. RT was speechless. The judge announced a recess and would render a verdict on a later date. Walking out of the courtroom, I felt an unprecedented sense of lightness. I had said what needed to be said and done what needed to be done. I no longer cared much about the outcome. At least, I had fought for myself. Thomas followed me out. Olivia, are you satisfied now? Not yet, I said coldly. What else do you want? We'll talk after the judgment is delivered. Are you really going to destroy us both? You two destroyed me first. I turned and walked away, without looking back. Behind me, I heard Chloe's sobs. But there wasn't a shred of pity in my heart. Some prices had to be paid. Some lessons had to be learned. A week later, the court delivered its judgment. I won. Thomas was ordered to return all transferred assets and pay damages for emotional distress. In that moment, I finally smiled. News of my victory quickly spread. Media swarmed, wanting to interview me. This time, I didn't refuse. I wanted to tell everyone how women should save themselves in the face of betrayal. Ms. Olivia, what are your thoughts on this victory? The reporter held the microphone out to me. I feel immensely gratified. Justice has finally been served. Do you still harbor hatred for Thomas and Chloe? Hatred? No, I no longer hate them. Because they have already received their just deserts. Do you have anything to say to those who betray their marriages? I looked into the camera and said earnestly, the cost of betrayal is heavy. Don't think you can get away with it, the truth will always come out. To women who have suffered betrayal, I want to say, don't stay silent, don't tolerate it. Seek legal recourse and protect your rights. We are not weak, we have the power to fight back. After the interview, I received many messages of support from female friends. They told me I was brave and had empowered them. This made me feel that the battle had been worthwhile. Not just for myself, but for all betrayed women. A few days later, I heard that Thomas's company was in crisis. Several key partners had terminated their cooperation with him. Chloe was also fired from her job. They tasted the bitter fruit of betrayal, but I didn't feel happy, because I no longer cared about them. My life had started anew. I redecorated the house, clearing out everything related to Thomas. I started learning new skills and cultivating new hobbies. I even planned to travel abroad, to see the world. Life was full of new possibilities. One evening, I was on the balcony, stargazing. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello? Olivia, it's me. It was Chloe's voice. Do you need something? I want to see you one last time. There's no need. Please, just one last time. I hesitated for a moment. All right. Tomorrow afternoon, at that same coffee shop. The next day, I arrived as agreed. Chloe was already waiting for me. She looked much more haggard, with dark circles under her eyes and a pale face. What do you want to say? I got straight to the point. Olivia, I'm leaving. Where are you going? Abroad. Thomas doesn't want me anymore. I was somewhat surprised. Why? He said I caused him too much trouble. Chloe said with a bitter smile. His company is almost bankrupt now. How could he possibly focus on me? So you came to apologize to me? Not to apologize. Chloe shook her head. I want to tell you something. What is it? Actually, I was the one who approached Thomas first. What do you mean? I was jealous of you. Chloe looked at me, her eyes filled with pain. From childhood, you were always better than me in everything. Better family background, better looks, better grades. Everyone liked you, while I was just your shadow. So you wanted to steal my husband? I wanted to prove that I could have everything you had too. Chloe's words shocked me. So, her betrayal wasn't due to love, but jealousy. Are you satisfied now? I asked. No, Chloe sh. Okay, her head. I lost everything. My job, my reputation, my love, and our friendship. Those were all your choices. I know. Then why are you telling me all this? I want you to know that Thomas didn't betray you on his own. I seduced him. If you're going to hate me alone. I looked at her, my emotions complicated. Chloe, do you think saying all this will make me forgive you? No. I just wanted you to know the truth. I already knew the truth. Regardless of who initiated it, betrayal is betrayal. Both and you are guilty. Chloe nodded. You're right. We're leaving. We won't bother you anymore. With that, she stood up and walked towards the door. As she reached the door, she turned back. Olivia, I'm sorry. This time, her apology was sincere. But it was too late. Some hurts are irreparable. I watched her figure disappear through the doorway. This might be the last time we ever see each other. Our once best friendship had come to this, becoming strangers. But I had no regrets. Because I stood my ground and protected my dignity. 3 months later, my life was completely back on track. My company's business was booming, and I had also found new personal development. I invested in several emerging industries, yielding substantial profits. More importantly, I had regained my confidence and happiness. That day, during a company meeting, my assistant, Lynn, knocked and entered. Director, a gentleman downstairs would like to see you. Who is it? He said his last name is Lou, and he's your classmate from college. Lou? I thought for a moment, it must be Ethan. My president from college, a remarkable young man. Please send him up. A few minutes later, Ethan appeared in my office. He was still as handsome as ever, but with an added touch of mature charm. Olivia, long time no see. Ethan, what brings you here? I was on a business trip here and heard about what happened to you. I wanted to see how you were doing. I invited him to sit and poured him some tea. Yay, where are you based now? New City. I opened my own tech company. Congratulations on that. Olivia, are you doing okay? Ethan asked with concern. I'm great. I've never been better. Really? Really? After everything I've been through, I've actually become stronger. Ethan nodded. I've always thought you were a very special woman. Special in what way? Brave. You dared to fight for yourself, which is rare. Many women in such situations would just suffer in silence. But you're different, you chose to fight back. Perhaps, I smiled. Actually, I just couldn't stand being bullied. That's bravery. We talked for a long time. Ethan told me about his experiences over the years. The hardships of starting a business, the joy of success, and the void in his romantic life. You never got married? I asked curiously. I haven't met the right person. What kind of person would be right? Someone like you. Ethan looked at me, with that familiar tenderness in his eyes. Ethan. Olivia, may I pursue you? His sudden confession caught me off guard. I know you've just been through a failed marriage. I can wait until you're ready, but I hope you'll give me a chance. I looked at his sincere gaze, and a wave of warmth spread through my heart. Why me? Because I've liked you since college. Then why didn't you say anything sooner? Back then, I didn't think I was good enough, that I wasn't worthy of you. And now? Now I feel that I can at least try. I was silent for a moment. After his betrayal, I had become cautious about relationships, but was different. He was an honorable man, trustworthy. Okay, I said, we can try. Ethan's face broke into a radiant smile. Really? Really? But I have one condition. What condition? Take things slow. I need time. Of course. I have all the patience in the world. In that moment, I felt a long-lost flutter in my heart. Perhaps, my spring had truly arrived. 6 months later, Ethan and I officially started dating. He was wonderful to me, gentle and considerate, never letting me suffer any slight. More importantly, he respected me and supported my career. These were things Thomas had never given me. One day, we were walking on the beach. Olivia, have you ever regretted it? Ethan asked. Regretted what? Your time with Thomas? I thought for a moment. No regrets. Why? If not for that experience, I wouldn't have become so strong. And I wouldn't appreciate the happiness I have now. Ethan stopped walking and looked at me deeply. Olivia, I will spend my life protecting you. I believe you. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.